Good morning, brothers and sisters. We're going to start off with the sound saying, coming from Philippians 2, verse 2. It says, "Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind." The back is coming from Isaiah 59:1, and it says, "Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ears heavy, that it cannot hear." Okay, the Lord's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither his ears heavy, that it cannot hear. So when you pray, he can hear thee. The whole world could be praying at one time. He can hear every voice. Okay? Now, I'm going to toss some words at you today. Then I will tell you the reading for today. Get my highlighter. Here's a word here. Behold. To see or observe. To see or observe, especially relating to something important about a thing or a person. Behold, to see or observe. Dash, sudden burst or splash. Depressed, sad, dash. Pity, the feeling of sorrow and compassion caused by the suffering and misfortune of others. Pity is what we should have when someone is going through something. We should feel some kind of way for them. Okay? Spare, refrain from killing, injuring, or distressing. That's what spare means. When you spare someone their life, or might spare a child a spanking. Okay, to refrain from killing, injuring, or distressing. Mercy, the blessing that is the act of divine favor or compassion. Mercy, the blessing that is the act of divine favor or compassion. Okay, something we should all have for one another or show for one another. Mercy. Okay, distress, suffering great or torture, severely affected, harassed, oppressed with calamity or misfortune. This is the state that we are in, distress. Okay, suffering great pain or torture, severely affected, harassed, oppressed with calamity or misfortune. This is where we are today. Okay. It could also mean extreme pain, anguish of body or mind, as to suffer great distress from gout, which is a condition, or from a loss of a friend or family. Okay, it is also a definition is affliction, distress, calamity, misery, on earth's distress of nations. We are in terrible distress. Self-inflicted, mind you. Okay, this is self-inflicted punishment. We have done it to ourselves. All right. See if I can find some more. Pride, confidence, and self-respect as expressed by members of a group, typically one that has been socially marginalized on the basis of their shared identity, culture, experience. Okay, pride, confidence and self-respect as expressed by members of a group, typically one that has been socially marginalized on a basis of their shared identity, culture, or experience. Here they have one that I don't particularly like, but I will read it to you. It says, the bridge was lit up in rainbow colors symbolic of LGBT pride, which is the one I did not want to read to you, but it was there. Pride can also be a conceited sense of one's superiority. Okay? Like the devil was very prideful. In Isaiah 14:12, he says, "How art thou falling from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did it weaken the nations?" Yes. And that happened long ago. And we are seeing the weakening of the moral fabric of the nation. Okay? Because he was so prideful, the devil, Lucifer, he wanted to take God's place. Okay? So he said to himself in Isaiah 14:13, "For thou hast said, in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will set also upon the mount of congregation in the side of the north." Okay, Isaiah 14:14, "I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High." Isaiah 14:15, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the side of the pit." And this is another form of pride, both negative. Okay, because there's nothing to be proud of when we're doing things outside of the way God manifested for us to do it. This is why he created man and woman. He gave a man certain parts and a woman a certain part, and when they come together, those parts fit perfectly. Okay, and not only do they fit perfectly, they can produce more of ourselves. If the two same parts are the same, it can produce nothing but just noise. It cannot produce a seed. But if we do it God's way, we can repopulate the earth. If we do it the world's way, then mankind is the one that is an endangered species. We become an endangered species doing it the world's way. But doing it God's way, we repopulate our earth. This is why he had it man and woman. Okay? And the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction when it comes to marriage. It did not create it, and it has no jurisdiction as to changing the institute of marriage, which is something sacred. Okay? And neither did Lucifer had any jurisdiction to take the place of the Most High God. This is what false pride will bring about. Okay? False pride can be brought about from ambition, evil heart, the world, self-righteousness, worldly power. The evils of it hardens the mind. It produces spiritual decay. It keeps from real progress. It hinders coming to God. It's issues in self-deception. Makes man regret God's word. This is what the negative pride does for the nations. Okay, just going over a few notes here, highlighting that which I have spoken of. It is also considered evil. Too much pride is evil. It leads to ruins. Characteristic of its wicked world rulers. Last days. We are in our last days. We will be reading 2 Timothy 3 soon. And I think we'll stop there and go into the reading. We are going to be reading from Ecclesiastes today. It tells us in Ecclesiastes that there is a time for all things. Okay? There's a time for peace, a time for war, a time for distress. All right? And God brings about peace, He brings war, and He also causes distress. All right? This is our first time reading Ecclesiastes. I think this is our first time reading Ecclesiastes. But I'll read it. Okay, the writer is probably Solomon. That's what it says here. Probably Solomon. Days between 940 and 935 BC. Time span unknown, probably during the later years of Solomon's reign. Title, this book from the Greek means preacher. Ecclesiastes means preacher. Background. Though the author has a life full of pleasures, wealth, power, and prestige, he still seeks happiness, even though he has all of these things that people think will make them happy. Money doesn't make you happy. Wealth doesn't make you happy. It does make you pay higher taxes. It does make you lie on your tax form. Okay? It does make you paranoid. It makes you super selfish. Okay? Because not all people out there who have money are making a true contribution to what's going on today. Okay? You have some people that are doing what the Lord puts in their spirit. Just a couple days ago, Tyler Perry went into an Atlanta grocery store and brought all 3,000 people full of groceries. Okay, that's a rich man doing his best. Okay, but it would be a better blessing if he'd have done it in secret. When you pay alms, you don't always need to have attention for it, because you're really doing it for the glorifying of God, not for yourself. Let me say that again. When you pay alms, you're doing it for the glorifying of God, not for the glorifying of the world. So he did a good thing, but it would have been better if he had no cameras there. If no one knew about it, except for the people on Facebook who would have said, "Oh, Tyler Perry paid for my groceries today," and everybody else's. That's different. All right. Background. Through the author has a life of pleasures, wealth, power, and prestige, he still seeks happiness. The majority of Ecclesiastes is probably written as Solomon analyzes past failures and apostasy in his life. And we all have failures and apostasies in our life. We're not perfect individuals. Okay? We are all sinners. All of us. We are born that way. There isn't a pastor or a priest that has no sin. Where written Jerusalem, primarily to the young people and to those considered pupils of the elders. The book of Ecclesiastes begins with the author sharing his reasons for viewing life as meaningless, futile, and full of vanity, and it is. His thoughts contain that despite man's labor, attainment, popularity, or possession, death awaits all. This is true. He realizes that there is a time and a season for all things, but does not know how man can fully understand when these times are relevant. This confession of pessimism eventually gives way to truth that there is no joy for man apart from his creator, none at all. The author realizes and enthusiastically proclaims the answer. Satisfaction, meaning, and happiness does not come from the attainment of life, but from the Lord of life. True. Vanity. Keywords: vanity, ambitions. Without God, there is no sense to be made out of our lives. All is vanity, emptiness, hopelessness. Our earthly ambitions will continually frustrate and disappoint us if we seek them as an end to themselves. Okay? Theme. These are PowerPoints that don't need to be proven. Earthly goals apart from God will not bring us happiness. No, it won't. Money will not bring us happiness. No, it won't. Fame will not bring us happiness. Power will not bring us happiness. Accomplishment will not bring us happiness. None of these things. Human wisdom will not bring us happiness. A life that is totally submissive and devoted to God will bring happiness. A life that is totally submissive and devoted to God will bring you happiness. Even if you're by yourself, you will still be a happy soul. Okay? You don't need someone to make you happy. You should be already a happy individual when they meet you. All right? A youthful life obedient to God will bring joy to our later years. Yes, it will. Even in the midst of your great loss, you will still have joy. And I can speak about that also. Okay? We ought to enjoy life even though at times we will have trouble. All of us. Just because you are a servant or a saint does not mean trouble will not come your way. Trouble will walk through your door. Trouble will meet you outside. Trouble will call you on the phone. Trouble will face you through Facebook. Come on. Trouble will find its way to you. What makes the difference is how you handle that trouble. Okay? The closer we walk with God, the more aware we become of His blessing in our lives. Absolutely. Absolutely. Particularly those who have been victims to coronavirus, but they have recovered. Okay? They surely, I'm sure, I pray, they give God all the glory for their recovery. In the same way that I nearly lost my youngest daughter years ago, 17 years ago. But when she came through, I gave all the glory to my God. Period. Yes, I appreciated that which the doctors did and the nurses, but there was another type of medication that she received, and that medication was powerful. That's why I give God all the glory. Okay? Today, it could be our last Today could be our last on this earth. We shall view it as a precious gift from God. Like I say, life is a gift from God. And this is why I get so upset when people do something horrendous and instead of getting a death penalty, they are rewarded with life, which is a gift. Now, what's going to happen, brothers and sisters, should the Lord decide to open those doors wide to those jails that have been holding hundreds of dangerous inmates? What will happen in this world? Do you think he cannot cause it to happen? I tell you what will happen. Every gun store will be packed. If it happened in your state, in your county, you will go to the gun store before you go to work or after work, but you're going to make it to that gun store. If it's in the neighboring state, you're still going to have gun stores packed. This is why it is so dangerous to house these individuals. All right, let's begin. This is a 22 verse letter, and we have some beautiful colors here: pink for witnessing, purple for the Trinity, green for love, one verse of black for sin, and it ends off with love. So as always, I will read it from both, but this is so simple to understand. I don't really think I need to read it from both, but I would do it just because I do it out of habit. Okay, so verse 1 to verse 10 is pink for witnessing. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. 3, a time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. Okay. 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to moan and a time to dance. 5, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, as we are today. Embracing. Bowing to your elders is appropriate, but hugging them right this minute is not. And a bow has always been, from biblical time, a respectful thing to do in the presence of your elders, because they are precious unto thee. 6, a time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. 7, a time to rent and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. Now, the time to keep silent, people seem to have problems with keeping silent. You don't always have to say what comes out, what's in your mind, what's in your heart, because sometimes that which is in your heart or mind is disrespectful. So therefore, it shouldn't be spoken anyway. So we need to learn how to keep our mouths closed. If it is not something encouraging, respectful, then it shouldn't come out of your mouth. Especially when you're talking to your elders, your parents, authorities, your spouses, your children. Nowadays, I hear a woman call her 2-year-old a bee. The things that can come out of our mouth is an abomination today. And we don't even care who we address, a 2-year-old. A time to rent and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. And that we have a problem with that also. When we ought to be speaking loudly, when laws are implemented upon the land, where are the servants with their loud mouths? Nowhere to be seen. 9, a time to love and a time to hate. Yes, there is a time to hate. It's written in the letter of our God. All right? A time to war and a time of peace. 9, what profit has he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? 10, I have seen the trivials which God has given to the sons of man to be exercised in. All right, let's take it here. I don't think it's going to read any different, but let's try it anyway. Here it says a time for everything. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. Same thing. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to moan and a time to dance. Same thing. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time of peace. It's practically the same thing. 9. What does the worker gain from his toil? 10. 10. I have seen the burden God has laid on man. All right. Here it says, I have seen the trivial which God has given to the sons of man to be exercised. 11 is purple for the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. He has made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he has set the world in their hearts so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Absolutely. We are not meant to understand all things relating to our God. Okay? 11, here it says, he has made everything beautiful in time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men. Yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. 12 and 13 is green for love. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. Okay, 13, and also that every man shall eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. So when you hear them pastors telling you about you are not to be taking no wine, not to be doing this and not to be doing that, you are not to listen to them. Because according to our letter from our God, it is your gift. Okay, 12 and 13. I know that there is nothing better for a man than to be happy and do good while they live. 13. That every man may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. Okay, 14 and 15 again is back to purple for the Trinity. I know that whatsoever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. Nothing. Okay, and God does it that man shall fear before him. Okay, something that we don't have like we used to have, a fear of God. That's why we're doing all kinds of monstrosity behind closed doors. Now the monstrosity are so common that they're doing it in your face. 15, that which has been in now is now, and that which is to be had already been, and God require that which is past. 14 and 15 from here. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that man will revere him. 15. Whatever it has already been and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. Amen. 16 is that one black verse we have. And it says, moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. 16. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there, and in the place of justice, wickedness was there. This is why a Catholic priest can be tried and found innocent. 17 to 21 is pink for witnessing. I saw in my heart God will judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. Amen. 18. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of man, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. 19. For that which befalleth the son of man befalleth beasts, even one thing befalleth them, as the one dies, so dies the other. Yea, they have all one breath. Okay? So that a man has no preeminence above a beast, for all is vanity. 20. All go into one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Amen. 21. Who knows the spirit of a man that goes upward, and the spirit of the beast that goes downward to the earth? Okay, so let's read 17 to 21. I thought in my heart, God will bring to judgment both the righteous and the wicked, but there will be a time for every activity, a time for every deed. I also thought, as for men, God tests them so that they may see that they are like animals. 19. Man's fate is like that of the animal. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath. Man has no advantage over the animal. Everything is meaningless. 20. All goes to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust all return. 21. Who knows if the spirit of man rises upward, and if the spirit of the animals goes down into the earth? 22 is the last verse, and it is green for love. Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man shall rejoice in his own work, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Okay, so I saw that there is nothing better for a man than to enjoy his work, because that is his lot. For who can bring him to see what will happen after him? No one. Even if you write a will, and that will says that your treasures on earth should be given to this charity, that charity. If you have children, whether they be your natural born children or your adopted children, those children have every right to contest that will. Who knows what will be after your death? You certainly won't, and neither would I. Thank you for listening to us here at Spiritual Water. My name is Brenda Guerrero, and as always, may the peace of God be upon you, may the protection of God surround you, and may the will of God come from you. And I encourage everyone to continue praying continuously that God will cease from being angry and make all this thing go away as He made it come to pass. Thank you, and enjoy this beautiful day indoors.